welcome to the Kemetic How-To Guide for Egyptian pagan and Kemetic practitioners. I'm your host, Sharon. If you're like me, you surf the web a lot, especially if you have questions about Egyptian paganism, Kemeticism. The web is really your best source of information, and there are lots of web pages out there, and lots of information on there, including on things like how to build a shrine. I've also had questions in my comments page about that, so I wanted to address it today, including a couple of suggestions or taboos or things that I've seen on the web that, I kind of want to give my response to. And also, of course, if you want to know more, I have an entire chapter in my book, kind of zoomed out right now, you can't really see it, but Following the Sun, A Practical Guide to Egyptian Religion, has a chapter on assembling a shrine, making it look pretty, what kinds of things you might need, and so on. But to take a little bit of a different tack today, one of the things that I've seen online, and this has become something of a question, is, well, if you have a shrine, do you need to have it in a cabinet? Do they need to be closed? One page that I saw said that the gods, the Nichiru, like their privacy, and so, if you're not in service, you should keep the door, closed. I disagree with that for a couple of reasons. I think a cabinet can serve its purpose, especially if you live in a house with other people and you want to kind of keep what you're doing, private. That way, definitely have something with a cabinet. But otherwise, it can get to be a case of out of sight, out of mind. And I have a little bit of experience with this too. Actually, the first shrine that I built was not an Egyptian one like this, but a Buddhist shrine. And in Japanese, a Buddhist shrine box is called a butsudan. And let's see if I can step out of the way. This one here was originally a wine box that I put a lid on, or we made a door for it. And let me see if I can open it up. Painted it, put a bamboo facing on it. And there's the scroll inside. Don't know if you can see very well. This is a scroll called a Gohonzon. And there's a little statue of the Buddha at the bottom. Now, something that's very interesting is in certain Buddhist sects, what I'm doing here is a sacrilege because I'm allowing this Gohonzon to be photographed. They don't let photos of it or reproductions, go out anywhere, but naturally there are other sects of the same school that put that, mandala everywhere, which I think is very interesting considering the debate that you sometimes have among different Kemetic sects, if you will. It's not unique to us. But having it there, I have to make a conscious effort to say, I'm going to sit down in front of my Buddhist altar for a little while. But these guys, I keep them here. I come into the room. I'll do a gesture of reverence. I know they're right there. We're sort of communing, I guess, just, by being in the room. And I have seen this. There's a Buddhist temple that I know of in Houston. It's basically their front living room. They had their front room remodeled, and that's the temple. And they have a big Gohonzon, sort of like the one I have there, only, it covers half the wall. And when people will walk past, they'll bow, in reverence. It's called gasho. So a cabinet is not a must. If you happen to need it, or you have one, you can make it look very, very beautiful. But don't, wig out or say, oh, I can't build an altar if I don't have one. Another thing that I've seen online is some people have said, well, if you have a shrine for your aku, meaning the spirits of departed loved ones, it should be separate from your shrine of the deities. You know what? That's a personal call. And looking historically at what did the ancient Egyptians do, there's actually some debate on how exactly they did that. There's debate on everything in Egyptology. But they've gone and they've excavated settlements like Deir el-Medina and Amarna, and there's another village called Kahun. It was very similar. It was a community of artisans, and they were working on one of the Middle Kingdom pyramids. And they've found objects that were obviously related to worshiping the deities, and objects that were more associated with the Aku in some of the same places. So it really, it depends on what you have available, what you feel comfortable with. Even the Egyptians, they had to work with, what they had. And a lot of, another thing to keep in mind, cabinets and wood, that was expensive. They lived in a desert. There wasn't a whole lot of wood to be had. And considering that everything that was cooked had to be cooked over a fire, a lot of wood ended up just being burned for that. Their cabinets were, very expensive. They were often made of wood imported from Lebanon, or ebony from the south. Um, so more often they just had a little niche in the wall that was where they would put, their statues of deities and things like that. I'll try to slip in a picture if I can of one such uh, niche that still survives from a house in Darel, Medina. So, and another thing, because this one website that I saw, it said, well, you might have strange dreams if you have your Aku shrine in your bedroom. They're saying don't put your Aku shrine in your bedroom. Well, dude, what if you live in a house with your parents and your bedroom's the only place you can put a shrine? You know what? Keep it in there. Um, I actually had my father-in-law's ashes. Before we moved into the house we're in now, we had to keep his ashes in the closet because we didn't have any other place. We were packing up trying to move, and so we put him there. Didn't bother us any. If it's a relative that you know, if it's someone that you loved, you had a connection, they're not gonna haunt you in your dreams. If you do get some kind of weird dreams, they might be trying to tell you something. So, but it's not going to be because you put a shrine to them in your bedroom. So, all right, all of that addressed. I want to make a simple shrine. What do I do? Well, the first thing you want to do is get your articles together that you need. Uh, an altar cloth is one thing. You don't have to have it. Wood grain can look very nice if done right. And if you want to set your icon statues, that's what I call them. Your statues like these, up a little bit higher. You can either do like this is a wooden tray that I picked up at Hobby Lobby and just spray painted gold. Turned over, it makes a very nice dais. I've got one right here for these folks. Or you can take a box and put some cloth over it. That's what I did with this one. Just wrap it like a Christmas present, pin it down, and there you go. And also, what kinds of articles you'll need. Um, think about what your shrine space is going to be for. You'll probably want to have candles. You'll probably want to have incense. So a good incense holder will work. Um, I have an earlier episode where I talk about different kinds of incense. Uh, Water or food offerings. I also offer milk sometimes, so have a little something for that. If you're going to be doing spell work, you'll want to make sure you have a little bit of space to put whatever items you're working on, in front. If you're going to be doing meditation, you don't want it up too high because if you do, then you're going to be sitting there like this as you try to meditate, and you'll get a crick in your neck. So keep in mind what you're going to be using that space for. What kind of things, in your personal practice do you do? And of course, make sure it's not a high traffic area. Watch out if you have pets. Cats are notorious. I had a cat one time knock down an entire ash holder full of ash, and I saw little gray kitty footprints away from the scene of the crime. I was not happy with that kitty. So make sure that it's someplace where they can't get to. And when you have your tools and your icons together, then you want to just put it. And I'll set up a little temporary shrine here just to demonstrate. Another thing that I used actually as part of my Butsudan at one point was a sushi mat. This it's what they use to roll up sushi. But when you lay it out flat, it's a great mat that you can put your water or offering plate on. So let's go ahead and put it right here. Use the little dais. And you don't have to get really ostentatious and ornate with it. A friend gave me this candle holder. I like it, but if you can't go for something, really way out and themed like this, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it's got, the scarab on it and everything. Simple is also good. Um, and, try to get things that sort of match. Here, it would look kind of silly if I had both of these here, so I'm just going to leave this one back here. And think about what deities do you honor? What do you have any that are, sort of like the highest on the list? That are the closest to you, or is it sort of a, come one, come all? Think about that, and the ones that are the closest to you that you work with the most, they're sort of at the center of your universe, so you might want to put them in the middle. As a matter of fact, you can kind of see how I have here Ra is up at the top because the way I work, he's the highest of the need. So we're just going to move him for a moment to demonstrate. Set him right here. And where did I put that? Here we are. Water cup and an incense holder. It's very simple, but that's really all you need. Sometimes simple can be very pretty. So, just think about what kinds of things do you need? What kind of work are you going to be doing whenever you're having a private service? And you let that be your guide. So, hopefully this will give you some hands-on advice, and some practical tips for your own practice, be it Egyptian pagan, Tamarin Wiccan, anything in that flavor. So for the Kemetic How-To Guide, this is Sharon wishing you Zen